4-year-old Langalam Viki will be laid to rest this morning in Buffelsdoring village near Vaalbank in the Eastern Cape. The little girl's body was discovered in the pit toilet of Mcwangele Primary School last week, Tuesday. Now, a preliminary investigation by the SAPS led to the discovery of her body, and an inquest docket has since been opened. Our reporter, Siphosethu Booi, joins us live from there now. Siphosethu, thank you so much for joining us this morning. What can we expect from today's proceedings?
Good morning to you, Ndokozo, and to the rest of the viewers. What we do understand is that Langalam's body will be arriving at her home now at 8 o'clock this morning. And from there is, Ndokozo, a Xhosa phrase that says, which just means that different families do things differently in different areas here in the Eastern Cape, because her family will be going back to the school for a traditional ritual to be conducted, and also from there they will then take her body to the graveyard that's not far from the village, and a proper service will then start at 10 a.m. This morning. And we do understand that the Department of Education, Fundile had also dispatched a team earlier on in the week to visit the family home and to send their heartfelt condolences. We are not sure if whether or not the Department of Education will be a part of the funeral proceedings today. We do know that her family has also arrived from different areas in the Eastern Cape and the country worldwide, because some also say they come from Cape Town. So the family just behind us in the home, I'll just move out of shot so that my colleague Ayana will just give you a bit of visuals of the family members, including the church that will be conducting the service and the funeral service of Langalam today. And we do understand also, Ndokozo, that 353 toilets will be built here in the Eastern Cape, also just to eradicate the issue of pit latrine toilets, as this particular death of Langalam really striked a lot of controversial debates and different platforms, where a lot of people were still surprised that the Eastern Cape province still has pit latrine toilets, considering the fact that there are young learners that go to school and are enrolled in these different schools. You'll find that in some areas here in the Vaalbank district, or rather in the area here, is that there aren't any pre-primary schools where you can send young learners from the ages of 4 and 5. So this particular topic is one that's very close to some of the neighbors as well, and to also the family. You recall also in the interview we did with Langalam's mother, she kept on insisting on the fact that there needs to be flushing toilets for these young ones who are in grade R, toilets that will accommodate their age and also just how they use the toilet. And it's still a question, also just the issue around her passing, considering the fact that those particular toilets, from what we understand from the school, were not toilets that were used by grade R learners, because from what the department, the SGB had mentioned, is that the young ones actually relieve themselves just behind the classes. So the issue of her body being found inside that pit latrine toilet is one that is yet to be investigated. And we do know that an inquest docket has been opened, and the Department of Education is also doing its own separate investigation over the body, and also just the surroundings around the murder, or rather just the incident of Langalam's body that was found in that particular pit latrine in Mcwangele Primary School just last week. Ndokozo.
Right, Siphosethu, before I let you go, I think we've noted the investigations both being conducted by the law enforcement authorities and the education department itself. But what is the education department saying about Langalam's death? Because the call for the eradication of pit latrines is decades in the making. How have they responded to this particular tragic incident?
And of course, in different interviews, Ndokozo, that we had, of course, also with Vaalbank, who is the spokesperson of the Department of Education, she also just made a note about the issue and just the surrounding circumstances of this young 4-year-old girl, and also just how she ended up in a pit latrine toilet like that particular one, and that, of course, we've been sharing visuals of here at Newzroom Afrika, and just also questioning the fact that how can young children from the tender age of 4-year-olds can be using such toilets, and also just the department saying themselves that should there be an issue of foul play, with regards to the passing of Langalam, people who will be held accountable by the Department of Education. If whether or not that would be a case of the Department of Education or negligence just surrounding the passing of Langalam, then that will be conducted. I know that the mother was also speaking about the fact that she's not quite sure about the story that she received from the school, and from what she understands is that the incident happened within the school hours, because Langalam's cousin had went to the classroom where the teacher was sitting to collect her bag. It's not an issue that the child actually left the school premises and everyone left, and the incident happened after school hours. And what we also understand is that the school principal was also just the last person to leave the school premises. So the issue of Langalam's passing really is one to be investigated upon, and also just, of course, her mother also calling for the Department of Education to please do their thorough investigation, and for that report to be brought forward to her and her family, so that the family can also receive a closure for the passing of Langalam.
All right, Siphosethu, we will, of course, continue to monitor that story and the farewell of Langalam Viki.